Hi, my name is Ariel Warren. I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist, or registered dietitian. They're both the same thing. And I am a type 1 diabetic. But first off, I want to tell you I am not a certified diabetes educator, so I can offer you advice that has helped me with my own diabetes, but I can't offer you advice as a medical professional yet. So consult your doctor and know your body. But these are some things that have helped me. So I want to talk to you today about treating morning highs and understanding where they're coming from. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 major things that can be causing your blood sugar to be high in the morning. First off, let's talk about the dawn phenomenon. So what this refers to is a surge of hormones that the best way to explain it is it preps your body for the day. It gets your body ready to go out and do activities, and so it can cause your blood sugar to increase. So these hormones are cortisol hormone, adrenaline, and growth factor hormones that are causing your blood sugar to spike. So this is usually a couple hours before you get up. So for a non-diabetic, your body automatically gives you the insulin so that you don't see that blood sugar raise. But when you have diabetes, we have to manually give ourselves more insulin so that we can have those nice, beautiful, straight line graphs on our CGMs that we all love. If you have a CGM. If not, then you can just imagine this straight line of your blood sugar that you want your blood sugar to be. So, a couple ways that we can combat that dawn phenomenon. So, a couple ways we can combat that dawn phenomenon is, first, if you're using a pump, what you can do is increase your basal rate for a couple hours before you wake up. Or if you are on syringes and you take a long-acting insulin, what you can do is actually split your insulin into 2. So this is something you definitely want to consult your doctor with. But something that worked for me when I was taking Lantus, and I first started off with splitting my insulin into 2. So I was taking about 20 units, and I split that into 10 in the morning and 10 at night. But then I noticed that I had more stubborn highs and high blood sugar throughout the day, and I had more lows at night. So I actually changed it, and I was on about 13 units during the day and 7 during the night. So then my blood sugar was more consistent for what I wanted. Okay, so the first point was dawn phenomenon. That could be why your blood sugar is more high in the morning. Second, it could be that your insulin to carbohydrate ratio is off, meaning that you are either giving yourself too much insulin or not enough insulin for the amount of carbs that you're eating. So are eating 15 grams of, I don't know, let's say you ate an apple and it was about 12 grams and you had a tablespoon of peanut butter with it because you wanted to add some kind of protein with your carbohydrate. Nice job. So when you're eating smaller amounts, it's not as detrimental as when you eat a large carbohydrate meal and your carb to insulin ratio is really off. Then you're going to give yourself way too much insulin or not enough at all. So that's going to cause your blood sugar to be high, or it's going to cause that low at night. So definitely work with your doctor to make sure that your insulin to carb ratio is matching up. So I'll get into another video on how to adjust your insulin to carb ratio to fit you. So the next point I want to talk about that could be causing those high blood sugars is not often talked about, but you usually consume this around the same carbs, fats, proteins throughout the day, and then you base your basal rate or your background insulin depending on how much you eat on average. So as humans, we like to go out, we like to have fun, we like to eat good food, okay? Right? Or I know I do. So if I went out and I had a high fat, high carbohydrate meal, or I ate high fat, high carbohydrate throughout the day, because maybe I've been having fun all day, then I know that my blood sugar is going to be a lot more resistant than if I had just a normal day for myself. Meaning that even if I gave myself the right amount of insulin for the carbs I've been eating, if I've been eating more carbs than I usually do and more fat, it can cause my blood sugar to be less sensitive to insulin. And so even if your blood sugar, so first of all, you're gonna see that throughout the day, your blood sugar is gonna appear more stubborn. It's gonna seem to need more insulin. And so there are two different ways you can treat that. First, one thing that I like to do to help my insulin or help my body be more insulin sensitive after eating more high fat, high carbohydrate foods is I will increase my exercise. So maybe I had a higher fat, higher carb dinner, then I will add a walk afterwards to make my body a little more insulin sensitive again. But if I've been eating high fat, high carb meals throughout the whole day, then that little bit of exercise will definitely help me be more insulin sensitive. So I might have a drop in my blood sugar once it's been stubborn. But if I've had a surplus of carbs and fat, then it can cause your blood sugar to drop with the exercise, but then to come back up and be more stubborn, which explains why you might have a morning high even though you gave yourself the right amount of insulin for it. So, okay, so here's a situation. So what if I decided to just have a fun day and I just wanted to eat a lot of popcorn? I love popcorn. I feel like a lot of diabetics love popcorn, and it is delicious. It's like my favorite food ever, but it does not work well with my diabetes. So what I have to do is when I have popcorn, or if I eat just a normal small amount of popcorn, then my blood sugar is usually pretty okay. But if I have a lot of popcorn, I'm saying very vague terms like a lot because it's going to affect each diabetic differently, and I don't want you to base your own diabetes management off of what I specifically do. But for myself, if I have a big bowl of popcorn, it is really going to affect my blood sugar. Maybe not immediately after I have the popcorn, but it typically affects my blood sugar about 2 to 3 hours after, and then it makes my blood sugar a lot more resistant for about, I'd say about 6 to 12 hours, depending on how much popcorn or how much high fat, high carbohydrates I ate. So let's bring it back. So if you had a high carbohydrate, high fat meal, then for myself, what I would do is give myself the normal insulin to carb ratio for that meal, and then I would keep my basal the same for about 2 to 3 hours, maybe 1 to 2, depends on you. And then I would increase my basal because I know that my blood sugar is I'm going to eat the popcorn, and so I'm going to be in the normal range. But after a couple hours, that is when my blood sugar is going to spike from eating the higher carb, higher fat meal. So that after a couple hours after having that meal, that's when I'm going to increase my basal. So you can do this a couple ways. You can either do that with a temp basal if you're awake, or you can go to your basal settings in your pump and manually adjust your pump and increase your basal anywhere from 25 to 100%. 100% meaning that that's a double increase of what your normal basal is. So this takes a lot of figuring yourself out, figuring out your diabetes, figuring out how different foods affect you. But with my own situation and my own diabetes, I've seen that high fat, high carb causes that 2 to 3 hour window, and then that's when my blood sugar increases, and that's when I need a basal rate anywhere from 0.25, anywhere from 25 up to 100% increase of my normal basal. And then I will stick to a higher basal for about anywhere from 6 to 12 hours depending on how big that meal was. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you'd like more advice or you want some diabetic friends, then you can join the Facebook group below. And I'm here as a registered dietitian and as your friend, and hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Okay, bye-bye.